The ballroom of the Chicago Grand Hotel shimmered under crystal chandeliers. But for Matthew, the glittering room felt as suffocating as a concrete cell. Standing quietly near the far edge of the buffet table, he adjusted the cuffs of a faded second-hand blazer that had seen better decades, painfully aware of how heavily he stood out among the sea of tailored Italian suits and designer evening gowns. 20 years had passed since their high school graduation in Ohio, and while his former classmates had spent the intervening decades climbing corporate ladders, accumulating wealth, and building glittering resumes, Matthew's life had been measured in hospital corridors, sleepless nights, and quiet acts of devotion. He was a single father who had spent every ounce of his energy raising his teenage daughter after losing his wife to a sudden illness, trading career ambitions for low-paying freelance graphic design work that allowed him to be home when she returned from school. If you believe in the power of kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a quick moment to hit that like button, leave a warm comment, share this video with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another inspiring story. The whispers had begun the moment Matthew walked through the double doors, rippling outward like toxic waves across the crowded room. Grouped tightly around the center bar, a cluster of successful alumni led by Marcus, a wealthy real estate developer whose arrogance matched his bank account, openly cast mocking glances in Matthew's direction. Marcus loudly joked about whether Matthew had snuck in hoping to score free catering, or perhaps panhandle for gas money to get back home, drawing cruel laughter from the surrounding circle of old acquaintances who had long forgotten the meaning of empathy. Matthew kept his gaze fixed on his worn leather shoes, swallowing the bitter lump in his throat as he thought of his daughter, Chloe, currently studying at home for her college entrance exams, reminding himself that he had endured far worse hardships than the petty cruelty of wealthy strangers for her sake. He gripped a plastic cup of tap water tightly, wishing the ground would simply open up and swallow him whole, feeling the crushing weight of judgment pressing down on his chest until every breath felt like a chore. Just as Marcus raised his glass to offer another loud, sarcastic toast dedicated to the school's most unlikely loser, the heavy oak doors at the grand entrance swung open, with a commanding presence that instantly silenced the murmurs in the hall. A profound hush fell over the entire room as Julian Vance, one of the most prominent tech billionaires and philanthropic investors in the entire United States, stepped across the threshold, flanked by security detail that parted smoothly as he scanned the room. Julian Vance was a legendary figure whose rare public appearances commanded millions in media attention. Yet tonight, he wore no expression of corporate triumph or detached celebrity coolness. Instead, his eyes searched the vast ballroom with a sharp, burning intensity, ignoring the frantic waves and eager bows of Marcus and the other elites who immediately rushed forward to vie for his attention. To the utter shock and disbelief of every single person in the room, Julian completely bypassed the cluster of wealthy executives, his measured footsteps echoing loudly against the polished marble floor as he walked with purposeful, unbroken momentum straight toward the quiet corner where Matthew stood in his faded blazer. The silence in the ballroom grew so heavy that one could hear a pin drop as the billionaire approached the stunned single father, stopping just inches away while the crowd stared with collective jaws dropped. Matthew looked up in sheer bewilderment, expecting some kind of mistaken identity, but instead, Julian's stern face melted into an expression of profound, overwhelming reverence and warmth. Without a second thought, the billionaire reached out, grabbed Matthew by both shoulders in a fierce, emotional embrace, and whispered words of profound gratitude that carried across the hushed room for everyone to hear. Julian turned to face the stunned crowd of elites, his voice ringing with absolute authority as he revealed that years ago, when Julian was a broken, bankrupt college dropout on the verge of giving up on life, it was Matthew who had secretly shared his meager savings, his food, and his unwavering faith to help him stand back up. Julian announced to the silent ballroom that true wealth was never measured by the size of a bank account or the designer labels on a suit, but by the boundless depth of a selfless heart, declaring that the man everyone had just mocked was the very reason empires were built. As the color drained from Marcus's face, and the surrounding mockers lowered their heads in deep, burning shame, Julian pulled a golden envelope from his pocket offering Matthew a life-changing partnership to head a massive national foundation dedicated to supporting single parents and struggling families. Matthew stood frozen as tears finally broke free, tracing down his cheeks not from sorrow or humiliation, but from the realization that love and sacrifice are never truly wasted, and that grace always finds its way home in the end. If this emotional journey touched your heart and reminded you of the beauty of human resilience, please let us know by dropping your thoughts in the comments below. Before you go, please leave a quick comment sharing your favorite moment from the story. And thank you so much for watching.